Oh shit. Alright, so here we go. We're going to possibly talk about this shit as soon as I can figure out how to pull up my YouTube page so I can make sure that everything is running properly. Trying to get it together right now. There we go. Come on. Open link in new tab. Okay. Alright, hold on. I see you guys are here. Oh shit. Comments. Alright, now I got it all set up. Feels like it's been years since we've been live. Yeah, you're not shitting, dude. It has been a while. Let me copy the link. I put the link in the chat. So now we should be ready to go. It has been a I was about to say, dude, this is another reason why I haven't done this in a while because, the internet has been in and out for the last couple of days. But I would assume that's because of the amount of people that are on it. Yeah, apparently it wasn't ready. But we're going to try to do it anyway. I don't know how well it's going to work, if it's going to work at all. But so now everybody is the quarantine inside their house with nothing to do. I haven't done one of these in a while, honestly, because I've been working on posting shit up, really editing things, putting it together. So I've been concentrating more on that. But I did have a thought, which was back in back in well, I don't even remember. It was a couple of months ago that I was sick pretty bad. The doctor thought it might have been pneumonia, and I heard through a YouTube show that Dr. Drew was doing that this shit is not new, that it's been around for a while. Since like November, December, at least the Super Bowl. It's been around since, and I got to thinking like, well, maybe I already had it and didn't even know that I had it. Possibly could have gotten lucky that I pulled through it, but I'm honestly not sure. And I had to tell you, with the way that people are acting around here, as if nothing is going on. It's wild. Have you seen the Happy Time Murders movie, the adult puppet movie? I heard of it. I know what it is. Jen watched it, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I watched it. I know she was watching it. They were trying to get me to watch it, but go. Are we ready now? Is this what we're really gonna be doing? The only thing that's literally using Wi-Fi connection right now is my television and this. My phone is not on Wi-Fi. There's no reason for it to be cutting out at all. Like, this is exactly why I don't do this shit. Because I can't lower your video quality. Alright, let's see if I can do that. I'll go into settings. Alright, so I'll go into low definition. We'll try that. Ugh. Is it still on low definition? Yeah, okay. I was just checking to make sure. It might be a little bit grainy, but this is what we're going to be dealing with to at least try to get this thing to work. I feel weird without having a hat on, but whatever. I mean, I'm inside. I don't really need it. But I don't know, man. Honestly, I wasn't originally going to talk about this corona shit or anything like that just because I'm so tired of hearing about it. But the one thing that I had to bring up is what people are doing, or rather what they're not doing. The way that a lot of people are acting as if nothing is going on really blows my mind. I mean, we could discuss it. I just don't want it to be. I don't want to jump on the bandwagon of causing panic. So we could talk about it. I don't care if we talk about it. I don't want to add on to the panic of making people worry. But I do find it interesting that you don't believe that it's an actual thing. Now look, I know these things come and go all the time. There was the bird flu one, which, you know what? I forgot I could do this. Ew, recent plane crashes. Okay, what is it? Epidemic, pandemics? What the fuck? Let's take a look and see. Disease outbreaks by years, and I'll have to bounce back and forth between the YouTube chat and this. I've seen RBD's tweet about how he proves the people partying all the time is show pictures of him and two women in a pool. Who the fuck is RBD? You know, we'll go. Oh, I don't like the way this is set up at all. 2019 should have been Ebola, right? Yellow fever. I know measles has been popping up all over the place. Look, there's a lot of shit. Fuck it. It's not interesting. Boring. Oh, okay. RBD the wrestler. That makes sense. I mean, look, dude, I get it. Some people are going to want to live it up. I understand it completely. I get it. It's just the thing that bugs me is the way that some people, especially the ones that live around here, are just they're going around as business as usual, dude, and that bugs the shit out of me because these motherfuckers are gonna be the first ones to get it, spread it around, and then act like they don't know what the fuck is going on. Where if it was the reverse, these people would be flipping the fuck out. Flipping out. I can't stand that, dude. Why take unnecessary risk if you don't have to? Especially because I don't really like people to begin with. I make it a point to not be friendly with anybody around here. Specifically for reasons like this. Yeah, they're not cautious at all. Oh, you mean there's some kind of a disease floating around or some kind of illness floating around that says that you should keep your distance away from other people as much as possible? I have a great idea. I'm going to invite some dude over to my house that I've never met before in my life and then try to drag other people into it, mainly Jen, to come downstairs and meet the guy with me so I don't have to do it by myself in case he's a killer or some kind of shit. Which, if you want to do dumb shit, do it on your own fucking time. Because I'm telling you right now, if I catch this shit, it will be from her interacting with other people. And I'm not ready to throw the fucking towel in yet. I'm not ready to throw the towel in yet. I want to live to be able to see weed get legalized in the state and enjoy it a little bit. It's a small goal. I'm not asking for a whole lot. I just, I wanted to find out they canceled the orgy parties they were having in Prague. I mean, dude, some people, I think if anything, this is going to turn into some kind of weird fetish. There we go. I think I got you in, right?
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, what's going on, dude?
Sorry, go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's all right. Well, I mean, you're already set. You got the Tom Hanks castaway beard already going on.
I'm already in caveman mode.
So, what is it like out where you are? Are people freaking out
Uh,
overseas?
yeah. So yesterday, all the pubs and the clubs and everything got shut down. They
Mm.
were trying to like hold out for as long as possible. Um, and yesterday it was like officially shut down everywhere. There's a few like supermarkets and that are still open, but that's pretty much it.
So, do people do the same shit over there? Because people over here normally, I mean, if there's more than a few raindrops, if there's a couple of flakes of snow on the ground, people race to the store and they buy everything that they can. With this shit incoming, toilet paper is nowhere to be found. They can't keep any type of meat on the shelves at all. People are just grabbing this shit up. Do they do that over there too, or is that like an American thing? Because I'm trying to.
It's definitely not an America. It's like this is probably happening in every like country. Over here, I went like my local shop. Well, all the shops around here. There's about three or four in my like where I am, in the village, and like there's literally no bread, no tissue.
Mm.
Um, there seems to be everything else though, like and like baby wipes is a big one as well. Like there's no baby wipes. Um, so like I went the other day. There was like loads of like snack things still, like there's a few of the fridge things missing. There's quite a lot of fruit missing. Um, but like crisps and chocolate and things, there's a lot of still and drinks and stuff. But tissue and bread is the fucking main thing. I said the other day, like, how many people fucking just eat sandwiches? Like, because there's, as I said, there's still loads of options for snacks and stuff, but there was literally one type of bread left in the whole bread section, and that was just like a tiny bag or something. And I thought, how many people just fucking, what are you eating? Just sandwiches, nothing else. Like,
Oh, it's got to be fucking brutal, man. I hate that when they buy up all this shit, especially because the way we have a system. We go to the store maybe 2 or 3 times a month and we buy shit as we need it instead of going all at one time, just because who the hell wants to eat the same thing
Yeah.
every day for an entire month? But now with all this shit going on, dude, there's nothing anywhere, which is wild. The best part about this is what these people don't even stop to consider. Never mind people going hungry that are not going to be able to buy food. But what happens if the electricity goes out? Then all of that food that you just bought that you're stockpiling in your refrigerator is going to be bad. Or if the shit really hits the fan, you don't think the people in your neighborhood are watching out their windows and seeing that you're the person that is bringing all this stuff? You're going to be the first house that they rob.
It's definitely like people around me have mentioned, like, is it going to come to where people are trying to break in and stuff? And like, it probably will. And like I said to you earlier when you did your live Instagram, like, it's not going to be long before people are rioting as well, especially if they try and bring like army units out and God knows what to try and keep people in their house. Like, there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that are going to follow the rules, but there's going to be a hell of a lot more as well that are not going to be okay with just staying in their house.
Well, I mean, that's one thing that they've already done here. I don't know about everywhere else. I know New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and New York. All those governors are pretty much all in line where they've already brought the Coast Guard out in New Jersey. When the governor announced that, I half expected to go outside and see the Coast Guard sitting in the parking lot, which surprisingly they're not. I don't know where these people are at. I mean, I'm sure they're around. They're probably, in plain clothes, hiding out or whatever. But I mean, now it's got to the point where there's a lady that manages the building, if you can call what she does managing, because she doesn't do shit. But Jen was literally walking the dog outside, and she was like, you're not supposed to be out. And she was like, "But the dog has to go." She's like, "Well, you're." She's like, "What is she supposed to do? Go in the house?" She's like, "Yeah, go buy doggy pads." But no, that's not. We're not going to allow this to start. The dog is not going to start pissing and shitting in the house. You want me in here all day? It's bad enough we already got a cat litter box with a goddamn cat that just blows the thing to pieces. I mean, it's brutal. You got to open up every window in the house when she's done. I can't have both of them, but I mean, we need. So I'm not saying that I want to go run miles throughout the entire city, but even doing something as simple as just walking the dog around the parking lot is at least a sense of normalcy, which I think is important, because that's the shit that I think will keep some people feeling normal. I know there's, like you said, there's going to be people that are going to go crazy and just be like, well, fuck this. I can't do it. But those are the same people. They're in all the zombie movies. There's always that group of people that are like, oh, fuck it. We're just going to go crazy and do what we want. And they're the first ones that get it. I feel bad for all of those people. Like I mentioned us on the Instagram earlier, the way that my social interaction has been set up throughout my whole life, from being rejected by people. I've don't even know the word that I'm looking. Basically, I've gotten used to the scenario of being in the house by myself with nowhere really to go and not a lot of people around. So this is not really new to me, other than the fact that there's not really anything in the store and you can't really do much or go anywhere. But I know for a lot of people, it's almost like raising a child, where as soon as you tell them not to do something, that's the first thing that they're going to want to do, because you're telling them that they can't do it.
I think that's the big problem. I was going to say that you kind of went into it anyway. I think it's more people that there'll be people obviously that do things and are active a lot and aren't used to being at like at home or whatever. But I think a big part of it is what you said, the fact that you're telling someone they can't do something, even if it's what they don't normally do. They don't like being told that, and I'm guilty of that myself. Like I don't like I kind of go out a bit in that anyway. I'm quite active, but like I'm also a bit like you as well, where I'm used to being at home a lot as well. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are just gonna kick up a fuss for what you said, like for the sake of someone telling them, like because I kind of understand it because you kind of feel like they're the higher powers and that are trying to. It might come across like they're trying to be like your mum and your dad or something.
Right. Whereas the problem with authority starts to kick in.
Yeah, and I know what like they're trying to do it to help people in that, but obviously everyone's just going to decide what they decide individually anyway. But I do think as a big part of it is just people just choosing to be offended by it.
Well, I mean, this is where I think we really figure out where a lot of people's character lies. You know, like, okay, well, I know it sucks and I could stay in the house and I could find something to do, or I could just be selfish and go out and do what I want. Don't get me wrong. When they said everything is locked down, like they just made the announcement today, everything that is non-essential is being closed. Barbershops and all that shit were closed yesterday, but now it's anything outside of a doctor's office, a dispensary, pharmacy, everything else is shut down. But you know, this is where we see what are people actually made of. Are you really going to put because the saddest part is they're not even like, take yourself out of the equation for a moment and think about the older people that are in your family, your grandparents if you have them, or even people that have kids. You know, this shit affects them. You have to think outside of whatever it is that you want. But I think that is part of the problem. And the other problem is, unfortunately, some people are so fucking dumb that they don't even realize that what they're doing is a problem. And it just kind of blows me away that they've made it that far in life where they've got their own place to live, and they're somehow they've made it this far without choking on a plastic bag and dying. It just I don't understand it. I think the biggest worry is how long is this going to last for?
Forever, ever.
Maybe.
Until it mutates into the zombie virus.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm sure there's probably a good chance that it could mutate and become something completely different, because as it enters in one person's body, when it gets transferred, I would think that it would have to change up to acclimate itself to somebody else's way their system's set up.
Yeah.
That wasn't our door, was it?
But you didn't shut our door when you came in.
Okay, what are they gonna leave something?
No.
Who's gonna take what?
That's the UK guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, UK guy.
You're right.
You got the corona?
Saw Demos. How do you say his name? Is it Demos? I don't know how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
they have
that's
it
how I
there
said
too?
it. Yeah, everybody over there is going crazy too,
Okay.
where they're taking
It's
shit.
like, who doesn't have the corona?
I said that's gonna be the new. That's gonna be the
Like
new porn.
Minnesota does it.
That's gonna be the new porn. It's gonna be, hey, I don't got the corona. Are you ready to do this thing?
Oh my god. That's actually why I was still downstairs.
Oh,
because
Jesus.
Of her. Yeah,
Oh,
she met this other guy on Tinder. And
What is with this dumb bitch, man? Dude,
she blew the other guy last night.
I swear to God, I'm gonna
And
donate.
And her dog licked his balls.
Ugh.
So
Of
she
course.
doesn't want the guy to come to her place, but she wants me to be like the icebreaker. And I was like,
No.
my
No.
man won't let me.
No.
Because-
Yeah, tell her I said go fuck yourself. Nobody in this house is dying because you want strange, okay? I'm about
She
to
says that she was hurt. She's heard it for
I'm about to
and
email
she's
Adam
heard
and
it for
Eve.
pussy.
I'm about to email Adam and Eve and donate a dildo to charity so this silly bitch can fucking plug in a couple of double A's and blow her load already. It's not even like look, if she was like a Make-A-Wish kid, and she was dying, I could understand if her last hurrah was like I need to get laid. I've never had sex before. I can understand that.
She got laid by like a 60-year-old dude.
It's just, I mean, our lives shouldn't hang in the balance of whatever the fuck your sex life.
I don't know what's up with the internet.
I'm telling you.
Seen it or not, but Demos just mentioned about the Purge movie. I saw a clip the other day. I think it was in Italy. There was a car going down the street with the Purge song, like whatever the theme music is from the first Purge film, with like a siren, and they were like projecting it down the street through the car, and it was obviously like a ghost town because everyone's locked indoors, and you see someone like recording it from in their house, but just like laughing their head off. But I just thought it was quite funny. I mean, it's a serious time, but like, I think you've got to learn to fucking laugh at times as well. Otherwise, everyone's just gonna go batshit crazy.
Well, I mean, dude, yeah, honestly, the only thing that has gotten me through this so far, I've found myself ironically backtracking where I was watching cartoons yesterday, like shit that I used to watch when I was a kid, which oddly brought me comfort because it took my mind off of what all was going on. And I was like, I can actually sit and enjoy this, and it makes me happy and sad at the same time because I'll watch it and I'll be like, man, everything was so much more simple, even though it really, in the bigger scheme of things, it really wasn't. It's just that I was not smart enough to know what was going on around me. But comedy has been a big thing, or anything remotely that can bring some type of laughter or joy is essential right now.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
you,
I'm into comedy a little bit more than I'm not into it like you are, but like I still from like time to time look at stuff like comedy and that. But the last few days as well, I found myself doing it more.
yeah, I mean, it definitely. It's weird how that's. I mean, if anything, that's the one staple that shows you that no matter what is going on in the world, entertainment is always going to be around. It's not going anywhere because you need it. I mean, but it just puts so much more pressure on people to be able to do it, which has got to be difficult for people that are in stand-up comedy now because all the clubs are shut down. How the fuck are they going out? And they can't go out and make any money unless they happen to already have a podcast base already established. It's like they're screwed. There's no way to really do anything. I mean, I'm sure they could probably do sets. It would be a weird thing to do. Like I saw last week tonight, John Oliver, the last show that he did, it was in some kind of a strange studio where he usually has a studio audience and all that shit. It was just him by himself, and he did the show, and it was weird, but I thought it was cool that they still did that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could do the same thing with stand-up. The only problem is part of what feeds that is the audience reaction. If they can't hear that the jokes are landing, they're probably going to do terribly. Oh no, she wasn't born in the 60s. She banged some 60-year-old dude tell Jen to stop streaming. How I don't know how henna, right? I think that's what it is. Or that's a fucking tattoo. I think I don't know. I know what it is. The cartoon tentacle porn shit. And I know it's not all tentacle porn, but I mean it's close enough. It's close enough. That's I mean, you're in a fucked up world when tentacle porn is more
Getting rocks
classy.
off the tentacles.
It's more classy than regular porn has become. I mean, holy shit! Unless you got a fucking choking fetish, you can't even watch this shit anymore. Speaking of which, I mean, you might as well, but you've probably given up on the no jerking off thing, right? I mean, if there was a time to fucking pull your prick, now is definitely the time to do it.
Yeah, I haven't really done it like I was going without for a while. I haven't really done that for a while. I still do think though, when I was doing it, I did see benefits from it, but there was also drawbacks, like so. And the fact I'm like the situation with like my missus and that, like I call her my missus still, but we're not together anymore. So it's kind of the same as it was when I last spoke to you. So it's not like I'm getting anything on that end. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
um, yeah, like, but I'm trying not. I still get very paranoid of becoming addicted again, which a lot of people probably are. They just don't even know. But I'm aware that at times before it's kind of not helped me with other shit in life as well, because it like spirals into other shit.
But see, the problem is that it's so accessible now. It's almost impossible to not just become
Yeah.
obsessed with it.
And I do find I go to it when as like a comfort thing as well.
Yeah.
Like food's one of them for sure with me, like comfort eating, and that's another one as well. Like I've noticed it, like if I have an argument or something, or I'm just feeling shit about like money or something, I have noticed more than ever that I turn to that. And I know that don't solve it, but it's always like just I go back to it.
Let's all get into relationship topics. Well, I mean, I attempted to do this on a podcast and wound up hyper focusing on abortion. Not there was a reason for it, is because it was part of the story as to how I'm sitting here in this moment. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about relationships, I mean, it could segue into something else that I have coming out soon. But it's a relationships are a really delicate thing, I feel like, because it's almost impossible to be able to balance it out properly. Like I don't think it's ever possible for both people to be happy all the time or simultaneously, because how do you even go about doing that? It's got to be way too difficult.
I think it's possible. I think I've seen people in the past like that, but you don't know what goes on behind closed doors either. So
Like I think the people that post all over social media about their relationships, those are the people that are probably the most unhappy. And I can't prove that, but I would think, just because I mean, if you're going that much out of your way to kind
yeah,
of brag and boast about it, I don't think it's as good as you are saying it is.
and it's difficult as well. Like especially if you're like I've spoke before about the like you're trying to improve yourself and that, and and you might be with
Motherfucker.
someone at the time, and like that person, then you break up with that person because you start to make changes in your life, and they refuse to like try and make changes in theirs, and you're trying to help them out, and you're learning new things, and then they don't want to know. Like, I think that it's hard to find. Like, if you split up with someone, it's also hard to find someone else as well in terms of a new relationship, because I feel like that path as well is difficult to to even find people to network with, and be actual people that want better things for you. Demos, when are we getting you a YouTube channel? Because you add a lot to the conversations, but we need you on camera. Demos, you're like the young Jamie of Joe Rogan podcast. You're like the information guy, but you're off camera. We need to get you on camera. Young Jamie, pull that up. So yeah, I can't remember. I don't know what you heard of what. I kind of went on a bit of a like down a path, but I don't know how much you heard of that.
Well, no, well, you could repeat it again, just
What
to make
what
sure.
was we talking like relationships, weren't we? And I was saying like when people go on like they try like a self-improvement path or journey, whatever you want to call it. A lot of times you break up with the person you're with because you're trying to change of how you was before, and then when you start changing, even if it's for the better, people don't like it, especially if they're from an environment that they don't do that and never work on themselves. And as well, like you might split up with that person, but then it's hard enough to find people to network with, and even friends that are on that same path to want to see the best for you, and like together as a team or whatever, let alone finding it in like a love sense as well.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It is difficult, especially because I think a lot of people find it difficult to be honest, especially if they think that what they feel like is going to hurt the other person, even if it's not intentional. Let's go back to a time where we traded a goat for to her parents and got a wife in return. Uh, I mean,
I don't even know what to say to that.
yeah, I don't know about all that, dude. Although, what shape would the goat would have been in if I would have traded a goat for Jen? I mean, probably missing an eye. It's only got one fucking udder.
So my fear is as well, how much worse is this going to get? Like you said earlier on, I think you said it earlier in this, like we don't know how long this is going to go on for, and how much worse is it going to get?
Well, I mean, it's definitely going to get way worse because they.
I'm excited to see what you're working on, Demos.
I'm trying to open network, even though I really shouldn't be doing that. I'm starting to think it might just be because it's live streaming, because it doesn't seem to be having a problem outside of this. But I know a lot of people haven't been tested. So that's a huge problem. We don't know the number of people that have it. I mean, I've also heard that we could be looking at least a year with no question that this shit is going to be out for. But the problem is the difference of how people are able to handle it. Because everybody's body is different, some people probably will have stronger immunities than others. So it might not be so bad. The big question, though, rather than how long is it going to last, is are you going to get infected twice? Like if you've already had it and got over it, are you going to get it again? And then I think that's where we're going to run into mutations of it. And if they're trying to treat this thing with antibiotics, is that going to create an even bigger super bug that could
And
be?
I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know. I think we might have spoken about it a long time ago, but I believe they're going to start trying to bring vaccines in for it as well, which I'm not being funny, but I'm not getting injected with nothing.
Okay, well, you bring up an interesting point. Okay, because I've had this thought in private, right? Where there are people that are anti-vaxxers that don't believe they should be vaccinated for anything ever. They don't vaccinate their kids. They don't do any of that shit. Which, I mean, if that's the way that you choose to live, that's your choice. But then you should go and live in your own fucking neighborhood where everybody is not vaccinated.
No
You can
thanks.
all.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, someone just called something to me. It's fine.
Ah, okay. But I mean, there's a different, like, when I say vaccines, I mean like the polio, the measles, all the shit that you get when you're a young child. All that shit you should definitely do. As far as this one, if they make a vaccine for it, I would wait until I see how it affects everybody else. Like I don't get flu shots every year because there's no point in it. I mean, sure, maybe it helps a certain demographic of people, but it doesn't stop you from getting the flu. I know people who get the fucking flu shot and then still wind up getting sick anyway, if not more than they would have if they didn't get it. So that brings up an interesting point of conversation, which is how are we going to know if this is actually going to be the right move or not? I've also heard rumors that there may be some type of Ebola medicine that they were using for a vaccine that maybe seems to work, but I don't know if that's true or if that's social media nonsense.
I just, you know me, I don't trust a lot of things, and I think it's bad enough that other vaccines happen for certain things. And I also read the other day that now this is a bit of a conspiracy, but I kind of believe in a lot of conspiracies. Like, what if they're trying to put vaccines in to like microchip you?
That's true. I mean, it could be possible. You said you made a comment about population control. Do you believe that?
Who? What, me or you? I thought he was talking to you.
I'm not sure. Hold on, let me go tell her that she needs to go. Well, I mean, what do you mean population control? Like, do they do it, or is it something that we believe in? Because I'm not sure which way that question is leaning. Because I mean, I do find it, I don't know, I do find it kind of odd that shit like this is happening. It's weird that in a day and age that we're in technology wise, that something like this would be able to break out and spread as quickly as it does. But then again, you can always contribute that to how stupid some people are. The fact that they're like, oh, well, like the one, I don't know if you heard that story about a guy. There was a guy that had it, and didn't tell anybody, and he went to JFK Airport and he flew to Florida and infected a fucking plane full of people. Didn't tell anybody that he was sick just because he wanted to fucking go somewhere. Like, that guy should be shot. There's no reason why you should do something that is that outrageous that you would put that many people at risk.
Swear. Come on. Come on.
Ah,
You wanna go out?
of course she's gonna make me give up.
No, I got her.
Alright.
I
was about to say.
Alright, the forward one.
Like,
Pretty
what's
sure.
the alternative for that though? Like, I know what you're saying, but do you just lock them people away somewhere? Like, what do you do? Because like some people will be not fine with being locked away or whatever, but there's going to be certain people that ain't gonna stand for that. Like, even if it's one person, like, what do? Do you drug them and fucking like put them in a straitjacket? What? I don't know how you control that.
I mean, I think maybe we need to see. Here's the problem, though: giving up more fucking freedom, giving up more freedom for shit. Because I was about to say, maybe we have to start screening people to make sure they're not sick before they get on planes. But then, where does it end?
Yeah.
We have to get to a point where if you're a fucking adult, you should know better that if you're in bad shape, don't fucking put a bunch of other people at risk. But yeah, I did say a couple of days ago that we were due for one of these. What I meant by that was how stupid and selfish people are, that some shit like this is bound to happen. Even if it is preventable, just because some people just don't give a fuck. They don't care about anything other than whatever they want in the moment for themselves, and that's that. I don't want all of us to get wiped out. You know, that's not what I'm saying. But I mean the stupidity that humans have as a whole. We were due for some shit like this to happen to us because of the fact that a lot of people don't do shit the right way. Like the theory that computer viruses are made by virus protection software companies. So China releases a virus to kill off protesters over there. Well, I mean, that's the biggest problem. Is it's a layup for a conspiracy theorist to look at what was going on in China before this, and then all of a sudden a fucking virus breaks out, and now all of a sudden the riots and all that shit stop because people can't leave their house anymore. That's a layup. And I wouldn't doubt for a moment that computer software companies make viruses to make money. But this is the same, Chris Rock made a joke back in the 90s off of Bigger and Blacker saying that basically we're not going to get to a point where you can cure AIDS because the money is not in the cure, the money is in the medicine. keep these motherfuckers coming back. No, it's sad, but that's just a fact of what quote unquote good business is. Are you trying to tell me that we couldn't fucking cure cancer already? There's no fucking way, dude. I mean, come on. But you make more money. You make more money, and unfortunately, a lot of people value money over the lives of people until it's their mother, sister, brother, child that gets sick, and then all of a sudden they give a fuck. But that's just a unfortunate state of affairs that people are in. And then you also have the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where I saw somebody posted a Twitter post from some jerk off that said, since this has happened and people can't go outside, deers are running around in China, population of this animal and that animal have gone up. So it turns out the whole time that human beings are the virus. Like hold on, let's stop. I'm gonna steal from Joe Rogan for a second and say that I'm team people. I mean, I'm for animals too, but I don't understand these fucking morons that are like, don't eat. Like, if you want to be a vegetarian, whatever, that's your business. But I don't see you lining up to cut your own throat to save a fucking cow. So shut the fuck up. And last time I checked, a plant was a living being too, and you got no problem sending that metaphorical lamb to the slaughter. So why don't you hop off your soapbox, motherfucker? Because you're not much better than the rest of us.
They're some of the most extreme people I've come across. Not like personally, but just over on the internet and stuff. Like the vegan people. It's a whole different fucking. It's literally like a cult.
Can't stand them. Like, dude, if you want to eat rice and
Lentils.
plants, lettuce, yeah, for the rest of your life, congratulations. I fucking don't. I'm genetically engineered to eat fucking animals, and it's what I'm gonna do. At the same time, I don't want to wipe them all out. I want whatever animal that I'm going to eat, I would like it to have a good life. I don't want it to be stuck in a fucking cage on top of 100 other animals where they can't move around or anything like that. Like that's no good. You want whatever you're going to eat to be as healthy as possible. So I mean, there's a healthy balance, but it seems like you can't win no matter what you do. It's fucking stupid.
I look at them like just another religion. Like that's what I feel like it is. Because of how certain religious people and that as well, they try and push their religion onto you. And if you don't want to like join it, then you get abused for it. Like it's just like you said, you can't win.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I really don't this religion shit of I saw a video of some lady that was like, I'm thank God for tsunamis, thank God for 9/11, for disease, for this and for that, because we all deserve to die because that's God's will. Those people are a problem, dude. The fact that somebody can make a statement like that and be free walking around in the streets, but if you happen to talk to somebody that isn't there, you need to be put in the fucking loony bin and never be allowed to come back out again. I mean, I don't understand how these lines are drawn. But just I don't. It's fucking wild, man. I really don't. I really don't get it.
So what's your plans going forward now? Like
Fuck,
just
dude.
go to the shop, like when you need to, and like just everything's as it was.
This is wildly ridiculous. I don't understand what is the point of attempting to do this shit if it's going to fucking cut off every 5 seconds. How the fuck am I supposed to build some shit up if it's not going to work right? But you know what? This we could bring this into something else that'll be coming out next week, which is I'm not unfucking believable. It's been an hour, not even an hour, and it's had. Alright, come on. Is there a way to fix this?
I've just sent you like a short video clip on your Instagram. It's off of Daylight's Instagram. It's only like a 10-second clip or something, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Alright, because that's not helpful at all. I had to go grab my phone because I don't think you can access messages. Yeah, because there it is now going on.
Uncertainty that we keep hearing, it seems to be a word that's very relevant right now.
Yes, definitely the buzzword is uncertainty, isn't it?
It is, along with social distancing, self-isolation, and probably how to remain positive as well.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss all of that, no doubt, over the course of this brief meeting. But basically, I am Louisa Hindock, and I'm the founder of Team 6 Motivation, as you know. And we've got 4 segments for this year, which is training, therapy, motivational speaking, and coaching. So in any program that's written for Team 6 Motivation,
beautiful day with the boys. You feel me? Nobody else outside. Rona got these niggas scared.
So he's saying, we're going outside regardless.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I just randomly saw it today and just thought I'd get your thoughts on it because I didn't know what you'd think of that.
I mean, I get it. I get it. Nobody if you're gonna look. I understand the thought process of if we're probably gonna get it anyway, and it's gonna kill us. Why not just go outside and enjoy life? But then on the other end of it, what if it could have been avoided by staying in? I guess there's no right answer.
Trouble is
I mean,
even if you stay inside, like we said earlier, how long are they gonna fucking turn that into?
That's true. I mean, I guess it's one thing if you're sick and I mean, he's not going out in a large group of people, with contact with a lot of people. So there's a good chance that I guess he's probably better off than versus some of these people who are going out trying to bar hop right now.
I saw
So,
a thing as well. I just remembered another YouTuber I watch that does like reactions. I think he's in like Alabama or something. He did a live stream today of him and his missus just in a bar. Like they still had a bar open, like and like I don't know what time it was, but it looked like sort of early afternoon or something. And there was like the person working there. It sounded like there was a few other people in there. And I just thought, what the fuck? Like literally everywhere here is closed now, apart from a few like local shops and things. They had like hand
Well, yeah,
sanitizer at the bar, but like I was quite shocked to be honest, because like they're just out and about at a bar, like, and I was like, I wasn't expecting to see that.
I mean, of all the places that I could think to go, a bar would be the last place that I would want. If that was the place that I was going to get it, for sure. Like if you said there's only one place you could go, so you got to pick where you want to be, that would be the last place that I would want to go to. Just because, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the personality type. I don't get it, man. I understand it. I just don't get it. I know a lot of it could be fear mongering. At the same time, the quicker we could figure out who all has it and isolate those people, the faster we could probably get ourselves out of this situation. So I mean, it's a problem. I mean, I definitely don't have the fucking answers because no matter what you do, there's always going to be a chance that it's going to be out there because somebody sick could be going to the doctors or whatever the situation is. But I mean,
thought as well,
unfortunately,
if you didn't have your health issues and you just like had like a normal person, like normal health, do you think that you would feel a little bit more like I do in terms of sort of fighting against being locked away?
a big part of why I think I wouldn't is only because of other people's stupidity.
Yeah.
Because of the jerk offs that are sick that will go out and do what they want. That's what I'm concerned about. Health issues or no, I think that's the big issue. I just saw some lady. I wanted to pull my phone out and record this so fucking bad. Some lady with a mask on, purple gloves, just walking around in the parking lot. It looks like she's in bad shape. Just walking around for no reason. Like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? If you don't get the fuck away from me, like, I swear,
It just
dude.
reminded me as well. I saw a random clip. I think it was on Facebook, but it was off of one of the fucking TikTok channel video things. And this girl, she looked like a teenager. Apparently, it was on a plane in a plane toilet. She's in there on her knees and she licks the toilet seat.
Ugh, I hope she dies of fucking.
And I just
I don't even know.
that's on TikTok, which the majority of the audience is little kids. My kids watch that shit.
You know what, dude? If you're licking a toilet seat, you deserve what you get. You
Yeah.
deserve what you get. Epidemic or no epidemic. If you're licking a toilet seat, who the fuck raised you? Who the fuck
Like, when I
raised you
first
to
saw
lick?
it, I was watching it and I thought, yeah, but maybe that's like a new toilet or something. Even then, it's a bit weird. But then I read in the comments and that, and someone was like, she's on a plane, like a public plane.
Well, if she's licking a toilet seat, you can imagine what else she's stuck in her mouth over the fucking years. That girl is a dumpster.
And the
I'm
funny thing
sure
is,
of it.
she holds her hair back, so her hair's down, and she holds it back, like so.
Oh yeah, because the one thing you don't want to do is to make sure you definitely don't want to get your hair in the toilet while you're licking the seat of a fucking what? I can't. I know I can't. I don't. Yeah, we'll have to try that. If it does get worse, we'll have to try and see if I shut the camera off, maybe just do an audio if that will improve it. Possibly. Oh my god, you high maintenance bitch. Just because you're gonna get out, you're gonna come right back in anyway. Gonna go. Dude, I mean, looking at toilet seat. What the fuck is the matter with you? The fuck is the matter with you? Probably sucked 1,000 dicks. I'm sure she's probably already has AIDS or whatever it is. Nobody licks a fucking toilet seat for the fun of it just to prove a point. She probably already has a disease and is just looking for a cover. It's probably all it is. Who knows? I mean, you're an asshole, really, to fucking do something like that. It's absolutely unnecessary. What does that prove? That you're looking at toilet seat. So all of a sudden that proves that there's nothing going on? I really don't get it.
I think there's a big problem with that platform as well. I've heard a few things of like people in trouble on there and shit. And like I said, the majority of their audience are young kids. Like my kids watch it, and I wouldn't be surprised in the future if the platform is gonna stay, which it looks like it is. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they had a fucking live suicide or something on there when kids are watching, because they don't know what they're tuning into.
Yeah, no, it could be anything. Could literally
And
be
the trouble
anything.
is, even if they get rid of that platform, there's going to be so many more that are going to come. Like different platforms, they just give it a different title, and then it's going to be the same problem. And I think it's scary for what the kids can access now without even meaning to.
Well, I mean, this is TikTok is basically Vine. It's the updated version of Vine because it does pretty much the same shit. I mean, people are already putting out compilations of videos of short, like 6-second videos that people are making or however long they make videos for. So it's pretty much the same thing. They just named it something different. A couple of people decided to jump on it and it's turned it into some type of a spectacle now. We need to get to a point where I think social media is in honeymoon phase right now, where we all just have to eventually get used to the fact that this is a thing, adjust to it, and then we'll be able to hopefully one day utilize it the way that it's supposed to be used. But I don't know how long that's going to take. I would assume it would probably be another generation or two before it even gets there.
It's just,
But I mean,
it's difficult, isn't it? Because you could have the perfect kid, teach them all the right things, and then they see something that fucking causes them like trauma or whatever, and they might do something stupid because of it, even though because they didn't even know that sort of stuff existed. And I know they're gonna get exposed to shit in life at different times anyway, but it's if they experience it early on, and do you know what I mean? And it plays in does something to their brain, even in the back of their brain, without them being conscious of it. And then later on, like, they fucking kill themselves or something. Do you know what I mean? I think it's very troubling.
I mean, there was a few of those. There was that whale challenge or whatever it was, where I think kids were cutting themselves because the video was set up as if it was some sort of a game. And it was like mine.
TikTok, but they had that what was it called? Fucking Mimo or something.
Yeah. Shit like that. That's a serious problem. I think that's what when you bring up shit like that, that's exactly what I start to think about. Which, I mean, that's always going to be around, though, that's the problem. I guess it's just a matter of common sense.
But it's the fucking
of being like,
because there's been shit around, but even when I was younger, you couldn't access it that easily. Like you might come across things, but not like you do now.
That's true. So, I mean, that is the problem. But then what's the bigger question is, what's the solution? Because you can't shut down. I mean, you could shut down all social media, but I think it's been so ingrained in society now
Yeah.
that
Even if
it's
like
become
even if you did like block it on like at home or whatever, and you can keep an eye on and monitor your kid there, like their friend or something's gonna fucking show them it. It's impossible.
yeah. I mean, the one thing, I mean, I know I'm not a kid, but one thing that I've started to do now is when I have to go, if I have to go to the pharmacy or if I have to go someplace where I'm on foot or I got to take the bus or something, what I've been doing is I've been turning my data and my Wi Fi off. And I've just been, the only thing that I use on my phone is my music, unless somebody happens to call me. But so I'm completely disconnected from all of that shit. And I had to do it recently because I had to mail back a pair of sneakers that were defective. But the weirdest part of it was, when I left the house, I originally turned everything off to conserve the battery in my phone. And I realized halfway through doing everything that I was doing, I didn't stop to look at my phone once, didn't think about social media, wasn't checking anything. So it's like, I mean, it is possible. I guess it's just because it's so easily accessible. It's just easy to allow yourself to get caught up in becoming obsessed with it.
Are you? I don't know if I might have asked you this before, but do you ever like do things without like having your phone with you?
Yeah, I've done it. Especially, I mean, I can do it just because I don't have contact with that many people to begin with. But I mean, the only reason why I even bring it with me is for the music. But if I had another, like if something like a iPad, the iPod or whatever was still around where I can preload music onto an MP3 player, I probably wouldn't even bring the damn thing with me. Just because, I mean, there was no, before cell phones were even a big thing, I just had my little Discman. That was it. So, I wasn't, you couldn't get in touch with anybody until you went back to the house. But I mean, I guess it's no.
Oh.
What the fuck? I mean, it's different, I guess, when you've grown up without it and then witness it build is being born, and all this is already at your fingertips. It's all here. So you don't know what life is like. But like the most shocking thing to me is I was watching Mark Maron's most recent special that came out on Netflix not that long ago. And one of the bits in his special was about phones and answering machines. And it kind of shocked me because he went into the bit talking about, I know most of you are not going to have any idea what the fuck I'm talking about, but there was a point in time where you would leave the house and you would not know if or try to get a hold of you until you got home and you had to click a button on the machine if there was a blinking light to listen to a message that somebody had left you. That was the only way that you could do it. It was crazy to think that there are people that are alive right now that have no idea that used to be what it was like. Bring back the pager. Yeah. I mean,
I never had
that
a
would
pager
be.
myself, but I remember my brother had one, and like even then at the time I looked at it, I was like, it's like fucking looking at something out of like Men in Black or something. You look at it and you just see the lights and that on it. You'd be like, what is this like device? Like, and now Like if you saw that now, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Like, but at the time, it was like, "What? That looks like fucking futuristic."
It's so crazy to think that's the only thing that's shitty about the fact that we're all gonna die one day is that we won't be alive to see what the technology is gonna look like 100 years from now.
See,
To be able to see what it is.
I believe in like afterlife and spirits and shit. So I think if you believe in that, you'll be able to see it. You just won't probably be in like physical form. But it depends.
It's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought. I mean, I would like to think that that's possible. I'm just not going to. I'm not sacrifice my entire life hinging on civic belief. They'll be marrying robots. Yo, I know women who are looking forward to the day that they don't have to fuck men anymore. They're like, oh, I can just ride this thing until I nut and then be done. I don't have to argue. I don't have to fight. And then soon they'll realize that they will have to install, mark my words, and you feminists can rip your hair out. Get ready, because I don't care what you say. This is a fact.
We need a
It's
drum
a
roll.
human nature fact. Yeah. They're going to have to install an app in its programming that will make the robot argue with that person to eventually miss it. They're going to miss that part of the interaction, even though in the moment they hate it. It's gonna, at least I think that's what's going to happen. I can't prove it, but I mean, it's like anything. You know, I think you get so used to dealing with something that you won't know what to do with it when it's not around anymore. You know, it's like getting that cast put on your arm. If you break your arm, nobody enjoys that, but you get used to wearing it, and then once it's finally off, you almost have to readjust the way that you move and you do things without it. I know it's a bad example, but
I wish I had a time machine. Just fucking go back to when it was a bit simpler. I'm sick of all the fucking, like, obviously certain things are good, like certain bits of technology and that it does help you, but a lot of it's just in the fucking way. I feel like it's at a point now where I feel like it's just overwhelming, and it's gonna get worse. Like
yeah,
how
for
fucking
sure.
often, like even now, do they bring your fucking iPhone out? It's like every year, or it might even be like, what do they like every year or something stupid? But it'd be
Yeah, I
more.
think it's every 6 months, something like that, easily.
Like imagine in the future, it'd probably be happening every fucking couple weeks or something.
I think we'll get to a point where eventually it's just gonna be, you're not even going to, you'll hit your fucking temple and things will project where only you can see it through your eyeball or some crazy shit like that. Like, it sounds like science fiction shit, but I mean, we're pretty much already there, where everybody is connected to these things all of the time. And you know, they know where you are, they know what you're doing. They can just tap into the microphone whenever they want
I
for
feel
whatever reason.
that in the future as well, there won't be any like a lot of the jobs won't be there, like especially like supermarkets and that. It'll just be fucking robots, and that'll play into more people being at home, whether they work from home or not. But like, you can always have people around your house and that, but it kind of, I think it's going to play into people not socializing like they already don't anyway, like they used to, because like you get on public transport and that, and everyone's on their phone instead of actually talking and shit. And I think, especially if they bring in fucking AI and all this shit in the future for jobs, like it's going to play into even more people just being segregated in their houses away from each other.
Definitely. I mean, this is a good segue, something that'll be coming out on the podcast next week. But I was listening to a radio show, Jim and Sam, and they were talking about virtual reality, and they got to joking around about like suicide simulation in one way or another, and I got to thinking about it. Like, dude, that might actually be a real thing. And believe it or not, I looked it up, and as it turns out, that actually is a real thing where they're trying to treat people who are suicidal. It's suicide simulation therapy. It's very strange. It's happening over in, I think, Korea, possibly Japan, one of those areas where they take these people who are suicidal and they will have them write out letters to their family members saying everything that they want to say, like basically their goodbye letters. They have them go into a box that they simulate cream, where it gets it. I guess it puts them through the experience of what a quote unquote cremation would feel like, and that therapy is supposed to help people break through to be able to overcome those suicidal thoughts and tendencies. But I was curious to see, what do you think about that? Do you think that, or do you think that is more hurtful for that to be an option for some people?
So is it going to be like a lab sort of thing?
Well, the way that it's set up now is you pay $4,000. Why wouldn't it be a ridiculous amount of money? And I know if you're listening to this, you're probably saying 4,000 is not a lot of money. Well, I would imagine who are suicidal probably live under the poverty line and don't have $4,000, which is why they want to kill themselves in the first place. So they don't have access to this. But you pay these people, and you go into a warehouse that they have rented out, that they have everything all set up, and you're completely disconnected to the outside world. And you have to go through a course where they simulate rebirth, they simulate cremation. You have to write letters to your family members, you have to write your own eulogy. And all of this shit is supposed to make you go, hey, maybe suicide's not for me. I mean, I don't know.
If that's how it's going to be set up, I definitely feel that it'd do more worse than good, because I think you might turn certain people's lives around for the better, but like you said, like especially if you've got like anxiety and stuff, like fucking hell, like you might be depressed, but you're still fucking aware of what's going on. Like you'd be like, why am I strapped like in this chair or whatever in this fucking derelict warehouse? Like, have I been kidnapped? Like that's how the fuck. I don't see how it would work. Like I said, you maybe turn around a few people and help them, but I think the majority of people you just make it worse.
Because I can see the point that they're going for, which are basically being, oh, we're gonna make you think this whole the impact that you're gonna have on other people, all that shit. We're gonna make you think about all of that. But that's still my biggest issue with this is, even by doing all that though, I don't think you're necessarily taking away whatever the main problem was that brought them to this crossroads of a decision in the first place.
Yeah, it's like you're
Like
trying to rewire their brain chemistry, but not get to the root of the problem.
Right, because if you're doing this because you're broke, you're not gonna leave there and not be broke anymore. I mean, I guess it seems like this thing could be set up more for maybe people that are going through breakups or maybe just suffering from a severe bout of depression. Shit like that, maybe I could see. But then again, the people who are against it do argue that you could very well be pushing these people into the idea of doing it more just because they get a sort of a taste of what it's like, which will make them just want to do it even more. But I think where they're going wrong is they're talking cremations and shit like that. They need to find a way to simulate the actual feeling of death. Now I know that could be even worse, but they need to set it up in a way where that these people don't even know that they're in a simulation. Where everything is set up in such a way to where they think they're going to do it, and then right when they're in that moment of panic, when they realize that they made a mistake and this is not really what they want to do, that's when these people have to be like, surprise, you're not actually doing one. We needed you to go to the other side of this to see that this was a knee-jerk reaction of something that you thought that you wanted. At least that's my logic, only because from what I understand, like people who have jumped off of bridges, when they realized that their problems were not as bad as they thought they were in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, it's just, I don't know.
I think it's a lot to fucking work around for it to work. Like, because if you're like on the edge of like ending your life, sometimes for a lot of people, if a family member or something like catches them before they take their life, sometimes people just need that like love in that moment, or that understanding, and just someone to actually listen to what they're saying, for them to not do it. And if they're like just fucking strangers and you're in a warehouse or something, and like you said, they're not getting to the root of it, you're not really listening to what they got to say, you're just trying to take control of them. And I think that's not going to work, because like I said, the anxiety of it, and they're going to think like, well, you don't care, you're just trying to brainwash me or whatever, I'm going to kill myself because you're not actually listening to what I'm saying.
Do they simulate their family mourning? I think that would hit harder. I think they might. I don't remember 100% for sure, but I know it was written. It was an article that was written by Vice back in 2014. So this shit's been around for a while.
Also, I think we touched on this a while ago, but it's a bit controversial. But what's the answer? Like, who's to say that every person should be saved? Like, because depending on every individual, you don't know what they're going through. And a lot of people, I'm not saying they're better off dead, but unless you're that person, like, it's difficult.
It depends though, right? It depends on what their quality of life is. If it's somebody that lives in excruciating pain every day, all day, shouldn't they have the right to just give it up? Versus somebody who just might be a little, and I'm not trying to downplay depression, but let's get real here. Versus somebody that might just be in a moment of weakness and just a little bit sad that just needs a wake-up call. Clearly, there are differences. So I think you're right. It should definitely be case by case. But then there's also, go ahead.
I just wanted to say they're fucking idiots as well. I feel like they've shot themselves in the foot already if they're going to charge people $4,000. Because like you said, how many fucking people are they going to isolate straight from the gate?
Yeah, because people could look at that and go, I don't even have $4,000 to pretend to commit suicide. What am I doing?
Like, that just says to me as well, like, you're not even there to try and do it for the better of people. You're there to make money from it.
Yeah, really. This should be something that is put out that at the least it could be crowdfunded, maybe used by taxes that are already collected. I'm sure if it was proven to help a lot of people, I don't think others would have a problem with trying to benefit that. What makes you think death will relieve the pain? What if it gets worse when you die? What if see? Well,
That's a good
that's the
point. I
even
didn't think
bigger
of
question.
that.
That's the even bigger question is what happens what if you live in like a hellraiser type of an existence where you kill yourself and yet you have to live that death over and over and over and over again as your
But
punishment
also,
because
what I'd say to that as well, like, even if you don't end up killing yourself, you're gonna die from natural causes or whatever. That might still happen anyway.
see, that's a good point.
But that's,
I mean, I guess
I don't know. That's a good like thing that you brought up because I didn't think of that originally anyway.
I think the problem is that with these types of issues, all that you really can think about is an immediate solution. How do I get this to stop right now? I'll worry about whatever happens after. But I need this to stop right now. They don't stop to think about how they're passing their pain on to other people. And now they're left holding the bag for it. Of course, you don't think about that. In your moment, you're like, everybody else would be better off without me anyway. They'll forget. People move on. It's not going to matter. But you have no idea the effect that you can have on other people's lives once you're gone. I bet that maybe you do, and that makes it even worse. But it sucks it sucks not to know. Maybe if we did know, maybe less people. Well, no, I take that back. If we knew for sure there was an afterlife, I think even more people would probably kill themselves intentionally just to get there and get it over with.
Mm. I was gonna say as well. Imagine how, like, once you died, like if there's an afterlife, like you get a choice to either go to start again, like as a spirit, but like have better fortune, or just carry on as you was in normal life. But who the fuck's gonna, in their right mind, pick the bad option again?
That's true. I mean, unless it's somebody that's like, maybe I can do something different to change it, to change my fortune versus taking the easy way out. But I mean, for all we know, the way that life is set up, you could have one life that is set up that always is going to fail no matter what you do.
Do you know as well what I find frustrating with, it's going a little bit off topic, but with like a lot of the self-help things and self-improvement, and a lot of these people offer advice and shit, but it's like they give you like tips or whatever, but they say like, right, start invest in this company or whatever, but they never really teach you how to actually do it unless you fucking sign up for about 10 grand to learn it.
That's probably because there's nothing on the other side of that paywall. It's just their way
find that a
of
lot.
taking advantage.
Like, it's been frustrating me so much because people like do this, and I've heard it so much, and I'm like, yeah, but where's your actual step-by-step bit without having to fucking isolate people that can't afford to pay whatever sign-up package you fucking want? I've not come across one person so far that offers to help people, like investing or whatever, for free. Even if it's half free and half you have to pay for. Like, I've not even seen that.
Yeah, like at least try to get them started. Try to help them
I just don't.
to.
It's been frustrating me a lot because I feel like I know how to, like, with like multiple streams of income and shit. I feel like I know um the steps to that now of different things of how to earn different income, but I still don't know how to go about doing it because they never fucking go into detail unless you offer to pay like a fucking like 50,000 grand, like pound or whatever. Like it's too frustrating. Go into detail.
I mean, I don't. There's part of me wants to say that maybe there is no. We all know that there's no definite guide to go through life. At the same time, if you do know some that you can try to help some people, what is the harm in doing a half and half, like you said? I mean, I know you have to find the balance because there's some people that will just take your advice and fuck off and go and, well, now I have all the answers. What the fuck do I need that guy for? Fuck him. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know, dude. I think it's just a nature. It's an ugly nature to have, but it's an unfortunate part of reality. I don't think those people that are hiding behind paywalls have any solution at all. That's just their way to try to get rich quick. Because anybody that does, you would think that they would want to share that to help other people.
Like, do you ever
I mean,
watch Eric Thomas? He's a motivational speaker, and I haven't watched him for a while because I get really frustrated, like I said, because I feel like I love his content, but he's got basically like a course that you can sign up for that, but like the minimum for it is like they do it monthly, I think, and it's about £800 a month or something. And I think, are you taking the piss? Like, you're just isolating people from the gate. I've even commented on some of their stuff before. Like, I'd love to sign up to it. I've been wanting to sign up to it for years because I believe that it can help people. But what about people that can't afford to sign up to this? You could save to sign up, but because of how they've set it up, you have to then regenerate that money each month. How are you meant to do that unless you fucking, like, I just don't think it's sustainable for a lot of people to do it unless you're already earning a lot of money to do it.
well, yeah, no, because what they're basically saying to those other people is you're not worthy. We don't want you to make it to the next stage. Just blow your brains out because your life is not worth living.
The
There's
thing is, well,
nothing that
he
you
came
bring to
from,
the
like, he
table.
was homeless. I've talked to you about him before, I think, and I
Yeah.
think because of that as well, like, you'd think that he'd understand even more that how are people meant to get started? Like I said, I could save up to do a month of it or whatever, but then when it comes again to pay for it, I haven't got the money then. And I think there's going to be so many people like that want to do it, that have got the passion and drive to do it, but they hate their job or whatever, so they can't sustain that. Even if you like your job, how many people are going to be able to pay that monthly on top of bills and shit as well?
Yeah, no, it's
don't
not.
know behind it. Like, even if they, I'm not saying put it completely free, but just lower your prices. Like, even have different options for people. Even if you drop your prices, just offer them maybe a slightly less package of what you teach them for that period of time. I just don't get it. It's just frustrating.
I mean, it might be.
You come from that place himself of being homeless, and now people want to sign up to it and change their life, but they can't even get started.
It might be because of the fact that. It might be because of the fact that he was homeless that he charges so much just to make sure that he gives himself some kind of a a safety net
Yeah, but he's like
because he doesn't want to go back to that. So he's like, if I have to,
and he's got a lot of people around him that will take care of his money.
Energy
So
drink or
I just don't get it. Like, I followed him for years, and he definitely helped me, but like in terms of just getting me out of a bad mental state and shit. But then when it gets to the point of, yeah, I want to like sign up and get coached or whatever, like I can't afford to do it.
yeah, but okay, let me ask you a question. What is it that he is? What is it that he has said that has helped you? And I'm not trying to belittle anything that may have helped you, but I'm trying to understand.
Just like when I come across his videos originally, I don't know if I was on the verge of, I can't remember exactly, but I knew I was in a very depressed way, and like he was very like pumped up in his videos, and even when I first come across him, it was like the video quality and that of it was shit, but like he had a lot of passion in that, and because of his story of like being homeless and that, and then I've watched him grow and shit. But now I feel like there's a disconnect because he's like big time, and I feel like I said, you can't even get started with it now. Like the person that he first was, I feel like he's contradicted himself now, and because like I said, he knows what it's like to not be able to pay for shit like that, and now that's the minimum requirement that you. And I know that because they say you sign up to this, are going to change your life. There's so many cases that, and of course they're going to say that, but I just think like give people a chance. Like there's going to be so many people that are never going to get to change their life because of the prices you're asking for.
Well, see now, this is just my 2 cent opinion, but what I think happened, and I'm no psychologist, but I don't think it's so much whatever he said as it was that you were in a bad spot and you saw a guy that was building something that wanted to be better, and you looked at that guy and you said, if he could do it, if he can do it and he can get through it, I can do it too. And unfortunately, and I'm not even to downplay it in any way, but that should be able to be enough for you to be able to take that positive energy out of that. But instead, they press it like a guy like that will press it and go, well, now you got to sign up for it. He's already given you everything. This is only my personal opinion. Again, I don't know shit about shit, and I should pull up my pants, but he's already given you everything that he can give you. He's shown you that he's gone through the worst of it, came out better on the other end of it, and that if he can do it, there's a chance that you can do it. Would almost be willing to bet whatever the monthly membership is that there's nothing more on the other side of that paywall other than more of whatever it is that you've already seen, other than the fact of enjoying his personality and wanting to help to continue to support him to make sure that he doesn't wind up going back to the place that he originally came from. Now I know that's probably a terrible thing to say, but I honestly feel like that's what a lot of it is. Because anybody can be that. Anybody can do that. It's just a matter of making you buy into it. And I'm not even saying he's a bad dude, but he's a bad dude. I'm just gonna, if you really wanted to help people, bro, you would put it at a moderate price and help people who really fucking need help. People that can afford shit like Scientology, you know, they're not really in as bad of a space as they think they are, or as bad of a space as the lower class is. That's just a fact. Speaking as somebody who lives under the fucking poverty line, I just people like that just kill me, dude, because it's not right. Just be honest. Just be honest. Give me your money. I will give you access to videos that are like this, maybe once a week, maybe as often as you need to hear me tell you that you're the shit and you can make it. As long as you pay me, I will be there to pump your ego whenever you need me to pump it, just so that you can make it to the next stage of your life. Now, maybe that's all wrong and maybe that's not true, but it is. If you're selling motivation, you're a piece of shit. Exactly. Just because if you really wanted to fucking help people, you would try to do that. There's nothing wrong with trying to make a dollar. To ask your people if you really enjoy what I do, support me. But like, I get both sides of it, because the unfortunate reality is, like I said before, most people would go, "Well, I already got the motivation from him, so fuck that guy. I'm not gonna help him. Let him go back to be homeless or whatever." It's unfortunate that he's playing the system because he's seen what it's like to be. There's a line in a Busta Rhymes song off of "They're Out." It's called "They're Out to Get Me," where he says, "The more money I get more dangerous, stupid, because I've been broke before and I refuse to go back to it." That's basically, I think, what this attitude is, where I'm gonna do whatever it is that I need to do to make sure that I never have to go back there. If I have to peddle heroin out of an ice cream truck to children to make sure that I can pay my rent, and that's what I'm going to do.
It just kills me, man, because he was like, I went and seen him in London, um, and it's like I could go and watch one of his things now and get pumped up, but and then you get to that, you get like motivated, and you're like, yeah, sign up, and then you're like, reality, you're like, I can't sign up. Do you know what I mean? So it's just a head fuck.
Ugh, what a fucking piece of shit. What a piece of shit. I mean, I get it. Everybody's got to live, but come on, man. It's the same people. It's the same people that paying pay me a certain amount of money and I'll reserve you a spot next to Jesus. Like, stop it. You know as well as I do, Jesus don't need gold plated windows or any fucking thing else. You don't even need a building for that fucking matter. If you really believed in what you thought, like, just it's the fucked up world that we live in, dude. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I can't take people like that. I can't take people like that seriously. I really can't. I honestly think, in some cases, you would probably get more benefit out of paying $30 and going to see a fucking stand-up comedian try to tell jokes and make you laugh and take your mind off of everything. It's sad, but I
I
mean,
definitely do overlook it. I've had this conversation with my dad a few times, and like, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do in my life and my future. I'm not particularly happy in my job and that. And he's like, I know you're not with all that shit. He's like, but you need to relax. And I find it hard, like, to just chill out. Like, even when like things like this are happening, and because I get anxious about going to work and stuff. But even when I haven't got work, like at the moment and stuff, like night times and that, I just like, I can't relax. Even if I haven't got nothing going on, it's like that build up of something, like you're going to do something. Even when I'm not, I've got that like anxiety, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
well, the good thing about that is that means that the drive is there for you to want to do something.
It's just a fucking head fuck, though. Do you know what I mean? Because I still don't 100% know what I want to do. and there's kind of
But yeah, for sure.
like you get motivated by that as well, but there's also a lot of anxiety because of that. Because I'll be like, well, I don't want to be 10 years down the line and still not have any clue of what I want to do. Because that was always what happened at school. Like a lot of people knew what they wanted to go on and do. I was always one of the ones that were like, I have no idea. I'm just gonna go get a job. It's just crazy because I feel like I've got the drive and passion for something, but it's just I haven't found what that is. And it's frustrating because I know it's out there, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, I think you'll find just.
Thing is, like, if I had the skills to do that, I would because I'm quite sensible of my money. I think it stresses me out more as well. Is because I've got kids. Like, I've spoke to you about it before, but that adds so much pressure to shit. Even if I've not got the pressure from like my missus or even my kids saying things, and like in my like deep down, I'm like, you're failing them, even though I'm not in terms of like having time with them and seeing them and that, like, still not giving them the whole package.
Well, what do you mean?
Like a house or just them like setting the example as well. I don't want them to grow up and be stuck at their like at home with. I'm not always saying it's a bad thing, but just I don't want them to be stuck with their parents or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or not have a job that they like. I know most people do jobs that they don't like, but I want to tell them to just go and do what they want. And I know it's not always that simple, but I don't want to be a bad example for them. And I feel like me at the moment, I'm not a great example. Yeah, I spend time with them and I feel like I'm a good dad with them in that sense, but I don't want them learning bad habits from me. Like, I don't feel like I've got a lot of work ethic. Like, when I go to work, I work hard, but I've got no passion for it. So I know that it's not going to sustain itself. So I know before long, I'm either going to be in another job I hate or I'm going to be fucking signing on or something. And then I don't want that either because I feel like I'm just letting them down with like the role model side of it. I could easily work a job full time and then know that their dad does that and provide them with shit. But I'm lying to myself. But at the same time, you could argue that I'm being a good role model for them in terms of working hard. But at the same time, I don't want to teach them that lesson of making someone else rich. Or not even rich, but just having enough to get by and shit. Like,
Well, see, the problem is that you're dealing with a double-edged sword in the sense that if you don't work at all and you do nothing, you set a bad example in the sense that you can, I guess you could just scrape by if you have to. At the same time, if you go and work a job that you hate just to get money to buy them shit that they don't need, all you're teaching them is materialism, and it might be difficult for them to actually find happiness in their life. The fact that you're in their life to begin with is already a victory in and of itself. The fact that they have two parents in their lives, even though they're not together, is a lot more than a lot of people have. And unfortunately, I think it's extremely overlooked, those two things on their own. And I understand wanting to get them shit that you never had and do everything for them, and as far as making sure that they're set up and secured for the rest of their life. but you also have to be realistic. Like, look, we're not maybe having a conversation with them at some point when you think it's appropriate when they're old enough. And I'm not a parent, but as an outsider looking in, to just sit down with them and talk about reality, to just be like, listen, there's a good chance that I'm not going to be able to give you everything that you could ever want. I can be here for your emotional support. You can come to me with questions that you have. I can help you out with your homework or whatever it is, but we're not people that were born with silver spoons in our mouths. This is not everybody, and everything comes to them easily in life. And for a lot of us, which is the reality, is that we have to work extremely hard just to get by. And I mean, obviously, there's some window dressing that would have to be done, but at least for them to understand the power of a dollar, to see the value in what family is, and to be able to have both parents, those are things that can't buy that. There's no amount of money in the world that can provide what stability, what a supportive network can do for a child. There's no money that can replace that, because at least if they know that they have you guys, that's something. I mean, of course, it's not always gonna come off like that, but I believe that eventually they will see through that and appreciate it. Of course, you want to be able to put money aside to put them through college, or make sure that they have a house to live in, and all that shit is great. But at the same time, you also have to be realistic and not beat yourself up for what you can't do, and just make sure that you can do the best with what you can do. And I know it's a lot easier said than it is done, but it is, sometimes even the smallest details are important, and unfortunately are not really valued in the society that we live in today.
I think, yeah, like I forget that sometimes, like that, because my missus grew up without her dad for most of her life. She met him, she tracked him down a few years back and met him. Now she went with her once to meet him, and she kind of wanted to keep contact with him, and then he just turned out to like start messing her about, and like he'd say he'd meet her and then he wouldn't, and I said to her, like, because she beat herself up for years before that, of like, uh, I just want to know like why he did, why he left when he left, and why he's never got in contact with me, and then she got all happy when we met him because she thought like he was gonna change and shit, and then he's letting her down and shit. And I said to her, like, I know it's hard, but he's kind of, you always told me that you just wanted to get answers and that from him, and I said, you've met him now, and now like he's letting you down all the time, so maybe it was a good thing he wasn't in your life when he was. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. But anyway, I was just gonna get onto the point of like, when you were saying like they've got both their parents now, we've already kind of made a better life for them in that sense of, because she grew up without her dad, and obviously my kids have got me and her, so like, I didn't really think of it in that way till you mentioned it. So
Like, I know it seems like a consolation prize and a cop out, but I mean, honestly, dude, look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I can't speak for everybody, but I can tell you, having growing up the way that I have, where there was not a lot of, there was not really any support at all. Like I never felt comfortable talking to either of my parents or any of my family really for them. I wound up going through a lot of the shit that I went through on my own, having to figure it out on my own, talk to other people and try to make friendships and compare notes and figure out what was the best way to be and live and get through shit by having contact with other people to the point where, seeing how a quote unquote normal household situation is so foreign to me. So that shit, like, I mean, I'm not trying to throw a sob story out, but I mean, it's easy to downplay that the role of what a parent does, but a lot of that shit is stuff that's not going to be, it's not going to be seen right away, but it is definitely important. And I mean, like I said before, you have the drive to want to do something. You just have to be able to allow yourself to try to figure out what that is. If you have to work a shit job for a little while to get yourself by until you can figure it out, just to make sure that you can do what you need to do, that's understandable. But you also have to remind yourself that just because you're working a shit job to make ends meet at the moment doesn't mean that it has to be a life sentence.
Yeah.
It could just be a means to an end. And it might feel like in the moment that you're never going to get out of that situation. But you will eventually. It could take, dude, I thought I was never going to fucking leave the town. I moved to a place, Ocean Gate, in like the late 5th grade, and I lived in that fucking run down wannabe rich place for like 14, 15 years. I thought I was gonna die there. I thought I was never gonna get out of there. Only recently, last year, we wound up moving out of there and moved to where we are now. It took that long to get out of there to where now, if the corona gets me and I wind up dying, at least it wasn't in that fucking place. I mean, the problem is that it takes so long to do it.
But do you know, sometimes when you tell me shit, and obviously you've spoke before about like your health issues and touched on things that, like when you was younger growing up and that, it makes me feel like I really ain't got a lot to complain about sometimes. Like obviously people suffer in different ways and shit, but yeah.
Well, dude, I mean, I get that. I understand that, but at the same time, there's definitely people that are way worse off than me, and I have a problem. If I'll be brutally honest, dude, I think I have a problem with throwing myself a little fucking pity party from time to time, where I allow myself to get wrapped up in, oh, well, you got some shit wrong with you that nobody's ever gonna fucking fix. So what does it matter, you know, how you live and what you do? But it does matter because I'm robbing myself.
You want grab me soda or something? Yeah, because I got $4 or $5.
Mm,
Yeah, with the 10.
I got ginger ale in the refrigerator, I think.
One lemon, one green tea.
But I'm robbed myself from being able to live. And then later on, I'm going to regret all of this. I'm going to regret all of this and decisions that I've made. Because, I know the end is going to be ugly, no matter how it ends. But what's the sense in making it even fucking worse? That doesn't help anything. So that's a struggle that I'm kind of going through right now with the cigarettes and everything else. But it's hard to snap out of it sometimes. But even I have to remind myself that there are people that are worse off than us. At least in this moment, we have a fucking place to sleep. We've been where we had nowhere to go. Hotels, sleeping on people's couches, and everything else. I mean, I've had in my life that some people will probably never have, but it's easy when you're in it and you're going through it to forget about all that.
Yeah.
About that, it's something that you can is something that you can change and you can fix. The problem is that it doesn't go away regardless of whatever it is. It doesn't go away overnight, and any decent solution is not going to come fast. It just isn't, and it's unfortunate. And I wish that it did. That you could do whatever it is, that you wake up tomorrow and you realize whatever it is that you want to do, and you're able to go for it and do it and enjoy it, and that the story is happily ever after. But the reality is, if it doesn't take work for you to get there, when you finally do reach that thing, whatever it is, you might not appreciate it as much as you will once you figure it out and you do get it. That you can look back at all the horrible shit that you had to do and be like, or at least looking back on it now, it was worth it. In the moment, you feel like you could fucking hang yourself. At least it was worth it to push through all of that, because you could say later on in your life to your kids, to get to where I was, this is what I had to work 100 jobs that I fucking hated for money that I didn't even want, because of a system that was designed that I had no part of, but I had to be a cog in, which is not my choice. But we're all here, and this is what it is. I mean, I know I probably sound like I'm rambling nonsense, but it's easy to get wrapped up in it all, is what I'm saying. And it's not, you don't kick yourself in the ass too hard for getting caught up in it once in a while, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be a human being. It wouldn't make sense if you didn't get caught up in this shit where you start to question your life and try to figure out how to make it better. Then there's something wrong with what is happening. At least with what you're doing, you're still looking at your situation and trying to figure out a way that you could be happy. You haven't settled yet. That's a positive. Once you start to settle in and just go, you know what? I guess this is just what it's gonna be. This is how it's gonna be, and that's gonna be it. Then that's a little bit different.
Do you just going back a bit to what we was talking about earlier with the kids and stuff? If you didn't have I mean, I don't know how you feel about it with your issues anyway, but if you didn't have your health issues, do you think that you'd want kids?
If I had money, if I was well off enough to not have to worry about how are they going to eat, how am I going to clothe them, and be able to give them the proper support system that I think they should have, then I would do it. Because of the health issues that I have, and I know that I mean, I've been flirting with the idea of getting a vasectomy recently, just because of my health issues and I don't want to take the chance, it wouldn't be right for me to do that. But if I didn't have the health issues, the biggest problem is always comes down to the money, and it comes down to giving up the freedom of being able to go where you want, when you want, or do whatever you want. But I think if I had the money, I think I probably would have did it.
I think as well, like, I heard my daughter the other day, she's like, she goes through phases already at the moment where she's like on about wanting a boyfriend and that. And I heard her mum say to her the other day, like, you're too young, like, you shouldn't be even thinking like that at the moment. You need to go, like, she's like, you can't, like, get married or something till you're 30 or something. And, but I was just, when she said it and that, I just thought, like, I just want them to go live their life first, because I felt like me and her mum, like, she had the first, like, our daughter, she had her at like about 2021, and like we were very young and we didn't plan it, and but your life really changes even if you're not together all the time, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, but obviously they're going to make their decisions and you can't really control it, but I kind of just want them to go and live, just enjoy life before they settle down, because I kind of felt like
You didn't get a chance to do that.
yeah, like, and I'm not like, I was to blame for it as well. Like, we were stupid and we should have like fucking used protection and shit. And it seems obvious to me now, like, why didn't you do that? But
Bro, in the heat of the moment, that's
And-
one of the few things, like sex and rage are the two in one split second you can change your life for the rest of your life. In that moment of rage, when you're man enough to kill somebody, the difference between actually doing it and walking away, and sex, like, fuck it, we're right here, I need to get off, you need to get off, let's just do it. It's easy to get wrapped up in that.
but I'm not. Maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed life more anyway if I hadn't have had the kids at that time, and I wouldn't change like them not having kids. But I just kind of, like you said, I kind of missed out, and it was my fault as well. But I kind of regret like not living life a bit longer. Do you know what I mean? In terms of that happening.
Well, of
Like,
course.
basically, if I could have them as they are, but like not as early as it was. But who knows? Like, maybe, like I said, it might not have really done a lot at that time anyway. But I want them to have that option.
Well, I mean, it's
They, like, maybe they decide that's what they want, but I didn't really plan that, and like that's something I think back quite a bit on at certain times and think like I wasn't smart there, like like we was very young.
well, the one positive about that is at least that's something you can bring up when you start to have that conversation about sex and all that, to be like, look, I'm not sitting here trying to break your balls, but this is just a fact, dude.
Yeah, because even like I said, even if you're not with that partner, like once that first kid's there, like you've got responsibilities of like, even if it ain't money, like time with them and that, you can't just be out. Like, I've never been one to party and all that, and have a lot of friends and outside of like my family anyway. But there's people like that they might get themselves in that situation and they think that they can carry on their lifestyle like that, and it's not really possible once like you got a kid that's along, like that's arrived and you're involved with. Like, I understand it if you only see your kids at certain times or whatever, but if you're fully involved and you see them every other day, even if it's not every day, you can't really sustain that lifestyle, really.
Yes, Dimos makes a good point, which is some people miss out on having kids too. Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's the problem, dude. Is, you know, I understand it. Where on one hand you want to live life and just be able to enjoy it. Maybe if I would have waited a little bit longer, I would have had a little bit more experience I could have passed down. At the same time, though, you never know, maybe not having those kids could have changed your life completely. You so I mean, it's weird. We're almost like we're the exact opposite sides of the coin, where you have kids and I'm not going to have any. It's like we're both having the exact opposite ideal.
Different problems, isn't it? I think as well, positive of it as well, like God forbid that my health stays like reasonable. Like the fact that we've had our kids at our age, like I'd like to think that I get to see a lot of them before my time's up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of
definitely.
people that have kids too late as well, and then like they only get to experience a few years of them, and then they're gone. Like, and you can't really change that. Like, who knows? Like, I might fucking die like tomorrow or something. But I do think when I think about things like that, I think that's one of the positives. Like, because I wouldn't, even though I said I would have liked to have lived life a bit more, like I wouldn't have wanted it to go the other extreme. And I have them too late, and I only get to see them for like 3 years, and then I die. Like I know that's better than nothing, but I'd regret that. I think because you like just things like weddings and like, do you know what I mean? Like you miss out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, like I get it because I've also I'm the product of a person who wanted to live more life and didn't, except was like, I'm going to do it anyway. Fuck it. The only thing that matters to me is working, getting paid, and I'm gonna do what I want to do because I wasn't ready to have this kid, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my life for it. Except, that's ugly. And it brings out a lot of bitterness, a lot of resentment. It's just it's really fucking it's a foul situation. So I mean at the same time I get 100% where you're coming from. I understand it, but man, fuck dude. It is tough. But I mean you do have the advantage of not being 50 or 60 and just having a newborn where your kid's going into high school and you're basically hovering over the fucking grave. That's
Yeah.
no good either because then you can't even be around to raise the kid. And of course something could happen, you could die tomorrow, but for the moment at least you're here now and you're doing what you can do. I mean, obviously, anything can happen, which is scary. That's another reason why I definitely wouldn't want to have kids, just because the amount of unknowns. Like there are so many. I don't think I would be able to live through the fucking pain of losing a child, dude. God forbid something were to fucking happen. I'd be a mess. I would be a fucking mess. I don't think I would ever be able to fucking recover from that. And I know that's a extreme on one side. Like normal people probably don't think about shit like that when they have these types of conversations. But
I think about that quite a bit, like because I always tell myself like I don't know for sure, like if that happened, like I'd like to think that I could live on and shit and set examples for my other kids and that, but you don't know unless you experience it, and especially if like everyone probably looks at their kids of like they never do nothing wrong or whatever, or like they're not bad people. But especially if you know that you raise your kids like a certain way, and you know that they're not troublemakers and shit, and then something happens to them. Because I feel like a lot of the kids that shit happens to is because they get taken advantage of because they of the innocence, but also the fact that they're not like troublemakers and just dickheads.
you can see the problem is that I've known people on both sides. I've known people with completely lax parents. They'll let them go out and do whatever the fuck they want, and they wreak havoc and go crazy. Or there's, at least in my opinion, the even worse option, which is the completely strict parent that tries to shelter their child from everything. Those are the kids I feel like wind up. I don't have statistics to back this up, but I would imagine those are the kids that are more than likely to wind up dying from a drug overdose or alcohol poisoning because they were sheltered from so much where you couldn't even have a conversation about the risks and things that are out in the world, that once they finally get out there, they go fucking crazy. And they
Well, you
don't
think
understand.
like a lot of kids that have done like shootings or whatnot, and you always hear, or a lot of cases that they were in a fucking high, like their mother was or their dad was like reverends of churches and shit, and it's kind of like a cult, isn't it? Like, as well, like if they don't believe in that religion a certain amount or whatever, like they get brainwashed into it because like of how heavily involved their parents are in it or whatever, and then like you said, once they get that slight bit of freedom and go out there, like they snap because they like it's just like a cult thing. Like I just wanted to say that because you was talking about it, and I've seen like documentaries and shit on it where there seems to be a lot of people that have like kids and that have done that have got a religious background, but like you said, they're like that's the only like reality that they've grown up in because they're closed, but like behind closed doors and there's abuse, but they don't ever really have a normal life outside of the church, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's sad. I mean, it's fucked up that any anybody has to go through any type of shit like that. But just to see how it can happen, I mean, obviously there's nothing that you could ever do that could stop it. Anybody can wind up in the wrong situation at the wrong time. But I mean, just to see some of it is just so preventable. Like if you live in a bad neighborhood because you can't afford to live anywhere else, you can only do the best that you can and hope that bad shit doesn't happen. But when you come from a quote unquote great community with money and you have the ability to stop all this shit and you try to shelter, like it doesn't work, man.
Right.
It's
And for
just
some reason as well, I think obviously there'd be people that have got money and but they're also a good parent. But I think there'd be a lot. It'd be in a high numbers of people that, like you said, they come from rich families, and I think like the parents feel that they can just like fog their children off and hand them a load of cash to get them out of their hair, but then they've never got that connection with their parents, like on a just being a parent and having the time with them because they've always got money to just send them off places, and you know what I mean? It's just fucked up.
or get the fucking nanny to raise them.
Yeah.
I've seen that shit firsthand and it's fucking ugly. It's real ugly. But there's nothing you can do. You just kind of you gotta try to get the fuck away from that situation as quickly as you can, because those some of those people are gonna be some of those kids unfortunately are gonna become a lost cause, because once you've thrown enough money at it and not actually any sort of parenting skills, and I understand there's no fucking handbook to being a parent. You know, there's things. Sure, everybody could tell you, don't let it eat bleach. Watch it in the bathtub to make sure it don't drown. Teach you how to look both ways when it crosses the street, and that's all you could do. Everything else is out of your hand. But I mean, there's a lot of it is just common sense, dude. Where eventually they just become lost causes because they're like, oh, all this is a money tree that I go and scream at and shake and say that I want, and I get some cash, and then I go and fuck off, and that's it. There's no connection. And when you're not weighted down with any type of emotional connection, that's where it can get really dangerous, just because then what do you have grounding you? There's nothing to affect your decision making at all, because you don't think that anybody gives a shit, or that what you do has no impact, that you're going to get out of everything, which is not good either. So I mean, every group has their set of problems. I think that if we were able to have a more open conversation about things like this, I think it would make the whole dilemma of being a parent or even attempting to be a family make it easier. But it just doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
I think it'd be scary if you could actually get the numbers up for that. Like, because as we were talking about it, I feel even what I was talking to you about in my situation, I'd still rather be in my situation than have all that money, think everything's cool, and then the next minute your kid like has fucking done something crazy. They're either dead or in prison or something, and then you're like, you think everything's fine, but then you eventually, like, if you get the chance to talk to your kid if they're not dead, like, and they're like, well, why do you think I did it? Like, you wasn't a parent to me, really. You was never there for me. Like, you thought you was with money, but that's not. But I just don't understand how you can think like that, even if you've got that money, because surely your instincts as a parent kick in.
But that's the problem. I think a lot of people don't. I think there are some people that just don't have those instincts. For some reason, they never developed them. And maybe it's something to do with their brain chemistry. Maybe they just never bonded with the child. Whatever the reason is, just I've seen it where just some people just don't. They don't connect, dude. It's really fucking strange to watch, because there's literally there's nothing that you can do to make this person care about this child. Nothing. Absolutely nothing that you can do.
Like, I could be really wrong with this, but I just think, like, imagine, I just picture there's a lot of families like that in, like, fucking Hollywood and shit. Do you know what I mean? They've got kids and they've got mansions and shit, but they haven't got that connection. And
That's got to be the worst.
like, it's bad enough, like, you hear from certain celebrities and that say shit about Hollywood, and then a lot of them end up fucking mysteriously dying or whatever. But imagine, fucking, like, them parents as well. Like, this kind of going into something else, but like, I bet they do all sorts to their kids. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're selling them to people and making them do stuff for fucking to keep their status as, like, whatever they're like, as a terms of being a celebrity. Like, I bet their kids have to do so much shit and go through so much that I bet they look at their parents like, you really just told me to go and do that, like, to this person, or do you know what I mean? It must be disgusting.
That reminds me of a documentary. Fuck me. I don't remember the name of it. I think it was on Netflix. It was a wild one too. It was about two brothers. One of them winds up getting into a fucking motorcycle accident and he loses his memory, right? So his brother is basically, spoiler alert for whoever hasn't seen whatever the fucking thing is called, but his brother is showing him pictures of his life and he's telling him stories of, we did this as a family and whatever. But as this dude starts digging more into his life, he starts to realize that, like, shit just is not adding up. Like, the parents used to make the both of the kids sleep in a shed outside, completely disconnected from the house. They weren't allowed to go in there at all. And then the parents' room would be padlocked shut. Eventually, both of the parents died. So while they're figuring this shit out, the two brothers have a fucking major blowout because the dude that lost his memory is like, bro, I know that there's things that you're not telling me. And the other guy in the documentary is like, I'm trying to save him from himself, basically. I'm giving him all the happy memories because there's shit that I know that he doesn't want. He doesn't really want the truth, but he doesn't know that. So
Yeah.
the parents die and they wind up going into their room, going through their shit, and this dude rediscovers basically for the first time that their parents used to pimp them out to big time celebrities and politicians and shit like that. And like the whole shit was like a big pedophile ring. Like it was fucking insanity.
Bro, I was just thinking, like, as you said that, like, I think a lot of these suicides and that, if they're not being killed by people and then being, they're telling people it's suicide, but really there's other people killing them. Like, I think a lot of that must be these celebrities see shit happening in like parties or whatever with kids or shit, and they're killing themselves because they see it, and then obviously they weren't ready to see that. They maybe they didn't know that shit was going on, and then they see it in like these other celebrities' houses, parties or whatever. Can you imagine like if that is the case of some of these celebrities dying because they're seeing other celebrities' kids and shit that they're making them do shit at parties and. Can
Dude,
you imagine that?
I
Like,
couldn't.
like it doesn't even matter at that point that like your whole career, like you're not even thinking that anymore. You're like, I've just seen, like, for instance, like for example, you say I've just seen like Tom Hanks just made his son go and suck that bloke's dick at a party or something. Can you imagine? Like, it doesn't even matter at that point if you're a celebrity yourself, like just witnessing that, like how, because especially if you're gonna try and expose that and then people know you're gonna try and expose that, like they're not gonna let you live. So they're either gonna kill you or you got to live the rest of your life like with that flashing back in your memory and either doing something about it or not.
I couldn't imagine walking in on some shit like that. Seeing, like, dude, I don't even know. I have no idea. I don't even know what my reaction would be. I really like. I feel bad for that, for the person that's doing it. I do because I don't think it's gonna turn out well for them at all. That's gotta be fucking horrific. And then to hold that shit in for the people that are like, no, dude, I need this money. I don't know how to do anything else. The level of karma that you have to try to balance, that you've seen some shit, but nobody saw that you've seen it. So now you gotta hold that shit in for the rest of your life while you're walking around Hollywood trying to make money, acting like you don't know what you know. Ugh.
She looks like she's in 22 black balls. Actually.
I think a lot of them are aware that they have to do this shit to like keep their status, but can you imagine, like, I bet a lot of them fucking like doing that shit as well. Like, it's just a whole different. I've actually got a documentary to watch of Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, the other one that died, but it's like related to like pedophilia in Hollywood and that.
Oh, dude, please. That show, The Bonfire, I keep telling you about, they are heavy into Corey Feldman, the whole deal, bro. The whole deal. So I know all about this shit. Apparently,
I'm ready to watch, and I've been putting it off for a bit because it interests me, but because of the subject, and I've got kids and that, it really like it's hard to get through. But I feel like I need to watch that sort of shit because that's the sort of shit that people need to be educated and know that's going on, even though it's hard to hear.
Well, yeah, it's
But I know it's
definitely.
going to be a tough watching shit, like, because it's just horrible. Even if you don't see anything, just them describing shit that they've seen and that, it's just like you feel sick.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely happening, whether they want to admit it or not. It is definitely happening, and because of money, people get away with it. I mean,
And
I don't.
like when you really break that down, it's because of money that they justify that that's okay. How crazy is that?
I mean, it honestly it comes down to self-preservation. I think somebody sees some shit like that happening, and they go, "Well, how do I want the rest of my life to look? Do I want to go back and work a 9 to 5
Yeah.
job, or do I just keep my mouth shut?" Like, I don't ever want to have to make that decision. I would never want to ever have to make that decision because I would have to be. I couldn't live knowing something like that and not say anything. But the even worse part is, what if you do say something and then nobody believes you?
Yeah, I know.
Now you're just throwing it all away for nothing because everybody thinks that you're lying, like you're making it up.
Like I don't know if you know about the Terry Crews thing. He claimed that he was molested and shit at a party that he went to, and that guy's built like a fucking you've seen the size of him, haven't you?
Yeah,
And he come out and said that some bloke like tried
grabbed
to
his
touch.
dick.
Yeah, like, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And this guy's just laughing and still continuing to try and touch him. And you look at that guy, how he's built. Like, someone's got to have, they got to be fucked up mentally to not have the fear of, like, once he's said like, "Don't touch me" and "Don't do that," and even he said like, but even him being a man and that, his like, and he's like he's got all these muscles and that bloke, he was such in shock that that bloke touched him that he kind of froze with fear. Because like other people at that party are witnessing it, but they're all just like, "This is normal to us." Can you imagine being the only one the first time you go to one of them parties and that happens? It's bad enough you seeing them doing it to someone else, but you're the victim in that situation.
So I don't. It's got to be difficult because every fiber in my body would be like, "How about you get the fuck off of me, dude? The fuck." You know, but then in the back of his mind, he's like, if I do that, there goes my career. It's the same dilemma again. Now I gotta let this guy fucking touch my dick a bunch of times so that I can do a couple Old Spice commercials. That's probably why they call it selling your soul. You literally have to trade in everything that your core values.
I just don't understand the mindset behind it all though, because for a lot of them celebrities and that's like the pinnacle of fun to them, and they're like, that's what they get their pleasure from. And I think, how have you got nothing else in life that measures up to that? Why is that your measuring stick? Do you know what I mean? You can't get worse than that, really.
Could be just a power trip that they get off on being able to have the ability to hold somebody else's life in the balance, which I don't understand that either.
But like the kids, do you know what I mean? Like, it's bad enough with that Terry Crews, but the majority of it's probably happening to kids, and I can't understand it. Like, because maybe if a lot of them grew up in abusive homes and that as kids and before they were even celebrities, but even then, I think that's not an excuse. Do you know what I mean? Surely you want better for. Because, like I said, I bet you a lot of them are pimping out their kids like you was on about with that one you watched.
Well, I was gonna say a lot of people I think that are involved in this shit could have been, touched in some way themselves, and those people tend to repeat the cycle for some reason. So there's that. But then also, if this kid has been touched or she's been touched their entire life, they don't realize that that's not normal
Yeah.
because they've been so tightly kept in this circle their entire life. They don't even know that this is not supposed to be happening. And by the time they figure it out, it's too late. I mean, maybe that's why, the fucking kid that did Home Alone took his money and ran. That guy is out.
I mean, I even think he went through some shit. Looking at him at certain points when he got older and that, he looked like he was heavily on stuff. Like, and I think, why was he on that? I know you got access to it, but there's got to be reasons behind for you taking that in the first place, other than
Yeah,
like
for
and
sure.
He was linked with a lot of the Michael Jackson shit as well, wasn't he? So I just fucking, it's weird, but I'd like to not witness something like that happen, but
Be able to stop it.
be able to just go in and not see like something happening, but see the environment in which that before something happens. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but that's why I find it like I've got all these. There's quite a few documentaries on it to watch, but I find it hard to get through. But it's fucking interesting as well because it's the same sort of thing with like the serial killers and that. Like, I think, why do I get like enjoyment out of watching this? But it's fucking interesting. But at the same time, it's like sickening, like because it's just the mentality side of it. I'm like, how do they like that in the first place?
It's definitely something that I think needs to be studied for sure. I think it needs to be studied. Of course, nobody would ever sign off on that. But how the fuck are we supposed to fix this shit if we can't figure out what's broken to make it be
Do
that
you
way
think
in
it
the
could ever
first
be
place?
fixed? Like, I don't think it could, especially in like Hollywood and that, 'cause it's so much money. Like, and there's only going to get more money in it. I just don't
Well,
ever see it.
those freaks are different though, dude. I think they do it because they can. I mean, I'm talking about the regular person who
Yeah,
is just happens to be that way and doesn't you don't understand why. I don't know how these cards get picked or what necessarily happens, but at least to be able to fucking help people in the lower levels. Those sick fucks in Hollywood they're always gonna do crazy shit, but that's just because they go through life so fast that they run out of shit to do. So they're willing to try pretty much anything. And I know we're going off pretty much fucking hearsay, but I don't think these many stories get made up out of thin air.
I just can't get my head around it. Like, I don't know. But obviously, some people probably like you were saying, not at that Hollywood level, but just like everyday people. It's going to be people that don't have, like we spoke about before, like serial killers. Some people don't have that like empathy or anything for anyone. So to them, like it's just they're either not aware of what they're doing or they just don't have that compassion or anything to. They just don't give a fuck. So they've got no feelings.
It's fucked up completely. Well, I mean, I hate to end it on this subject, but we've been going for almost 3 hours.
I know. It's got fucking heavy tonight.
Yeah. And I want to save a little bit of time for the next time so we'll be able to do it again. So, I mean, fuck, dude. Like, this has been a first live stream that done in a while. I don't know when the next one that we're going to do is or what it's going to be about. God knows we have fucking all the time in the world to plan and we ain't going any fucking where. So we'll figure it out. If we're all not dead, then we'll do it on sometime soon, I guess. I don't know, man. But look, I enjoyed talking to you. It sucks that we gotta end it here, but I gotta piss like a motherfucker, dude.
Yeah,
And we're
that's
going
cool.
on 3 hours. So let me just wrap this thing up. We'll talk figure it out. If you think of anything that you want to bring up in the future, just let me know. We'll set up some shit.
All right, man. See
All
you
right, dude. I'll get you all later.